Hi, I'm Jennifer Miller. I have a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from University of Portland and a master's in computer engineering from Duke University. I've been working in the high-tech industry for about 10 years now, and I'm currently president of the board of directors at a nonprofit in Portland called ChickTech. On a personal note, I'm a native of Portland, Oregon, and thanks to bit strips, I'm now considering being a pirate as my backup career. I want to tell you guys a little story about my first day working at Intel. And first, a little bit of background. I had always been a really successful student in engineering school. I graduated at the top of my class, got into all the best grad schools in the country that I applied to, and continued to be successful throughout graduate school. So I had always felt like I was at home in this industry. And in fact, I had grown up spending my summers playing text-based role-playing games on BBSs and teaching myself how to code. So I was no stranger to engineering even going into school. So this is just where I had always felt that I belonged. So on my first day at 8 a.m., I was extremely excited. And I think anyone who has graduated from college and gone to their first job can relate to this. You spend years learning all about the theory of your subject area, and then all of a sudden you get to go from theory to practice, which is a really cool feeling. It's exhilarating. So technically there were not chandeliers at Intel, but if there had been, I definitely would have been swinging from them. Unfortunately, things went downhill fairly quickly. By 10 a.m., I was not so excited. In fact, it would be a little more accurate to say that I was devastated. So what happened between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m.? Well, I went to my first staff meeting, which in and of itself could be pretty traumatic, but it was really what happened there that was so upsetting. I had arrived about 5 minutes or so ahead of time, thinking, I really want to be on time for my first staff meeting. And unfortunately, at the time, I didn't know that everyone else is 5 minutes late, so I sat alone for about 10 minutes, which was fine, lesson learned. So we got started about 5 minutes after the hour, and I knew most of the people in the room because they had interviewed me, and I had worked with some of them during internships. And about 10 minutes after the hour, somebody came into the meeting late. And instead of just quietly finding a seat and joining the conversation, he chose to interrupt the presenter who was speaking, to point at me and say, "Who's that?" Which was really awkward, but fortunately our boss jumped in and said, "Oh, this is Jennifer Miller, she's the new reliability engineer in the group." To which this guy said, while rolling his eyes, "Oh, great, another diversity hire," and then went over to his seat and slammed himself down. And I was just so shocked, I couldn't even comprehend what was going on. And I looked around the room, and nobody was even making the slightest indication that they were going to stand up for me, which was really discouraging because a lot of these people had grilled me in interviews, and they knew how competent I was, and they knew that I wasn't a diversity hire, that I was a great engineer and deserved to be there. And in that moment, I felt so disconnected. I felt suddenly like I didn't belong in an industry where I had always felt like I did belong. And that sense of disconnection was heartbreaking. So I didn't know what to do. I went back to my desk and I asked myself, do I really belong here? I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach, but all I could keep thinking to myself was, this is what I love to do. This is the only thing I've ever loved to do. Ever since I got my first computer in 5th grade, I've known that I wanted to do this. So I pretty quickly came around to the conclusion that yes, I absolutely belong here. I want to be here. I want to change the world through technology. This is where I belong. And I feel really fortunate that I had the confidence in my abilities to come to that conclusion, because I'm not sure that other women in this industry are always so lucky. And in fact, I'm not sure that men in our industry would stick around if they had been treated the way that I was treated 2 hours into my first day. Connection and belonging are everything. And when you're cut off and you feel that you don't have that, you really have to have a lot of confidence and believe in yourself to be able to rise above that. And ultimately, I'm so glad I did, because I have had a really fun, successful career in high tech for about 10 years now. I had a lot of fun working at Intel. I got to work on some really cool products and some really exciting new technologies. And I do feel very blessed that I chose this career path. I've made a couple of observations while I've been working in high tech that I just want to share. And the first is that I've noticed that my perspective is often unique. When I'm in a room with a bunch of other engineers who are men, we tend to notice different things when we're looking at a problem. So, for example, if this red triangle is a problem, we'll all start looking at the problem and making observations, and the men will start saying, it's red, it's red, it's red. Everyone says it's red, and I say, it's a triangle. Now, both of these things are true, and eventually we would come to similar conclusions, but the initial reactions are usually quite different. And I think this is true across the board when you look at all types of diversity, not just gender diversity. People from different backgrounds and cultures tend to notice different things. They tend to think a little bit differently, and that's a good thing, because diversity leads to innovation. A more diverse workforce is a more innovative workforce. We can be more creative. And that's important because an innovative workforce drives a more inventive economy, which is a more successful, prolific economy. So just from a pure economic standpoint, I think it's really important that we get more diversity into engineering, and gender diversity is an extremely important component of that, and one that's severely lacking. Another observation I've made is one that I think a lot of people in high tech have observed as well, and that's that we have a ton of job opportunities right now. In fact, there are typically quite a few more job opportunities than there are qualified candidates. And this is something that's only going to get worse over the next 5 to 10 years, as I think I was reading the other day that the job growth in high tech is going to do something like triple over the next 10 years, which is pretty staggering and exciting. But we're going to be in big trouble if we can't find qualified candidates to fit those jobs. So right now, if you look at engineers kind of across all the different disciplines in the US, women make up about 14% of the engineering workforce. So for every 6 men, you're typically going to see one woman. And, it does vary a little bit depending on which discipline you're looking at, but this is going to be pretty close. However, women actually make up about 60% of undergraduates if you look at the average across the country. So if women were just majoring in engineering and computer science at a representative rate in terms of how many undergraduates there are, then instead of having one woman for every 6 men, we would actually have 8 women for every 6 men. And this would be extremely helpful, because while this wouldn't fix the problem on the left entirely, it would go a long way toward helping to solve the problem. So bottom line, we need more women just to help us try to keep up with the job growth in the industry. Most people I talk to agree with me on the last two observations, and they want to recruit more women to work in high tech, but they have a hard time finding them. And that's where ChickTech, I think, comes into the rescue. Our mission is to retain women in the high tech workforce and to increase the number of girls pursuing technology careers. I want to talk about the ChickTech High School program because that's where we dedicate a lot of our resources. And the way that looks is each year we select 100 girls in each city. And currently in 2014, we're going to be in Portland, Corvallis, and San Francisco. We use a nomination process to select the girls through the schools, either through teachers or career counselors. We ask them to nominate girls who have basically opted out of math and science and tech, but would probably be really good at it. So we assume no prior technical knowledge, and most of the time that's the case. So each of those 100 girls in each city goes through a 12-month program that includes really fun hands-on tech workshops. We assign the girls mentors, and we also line up internship opportunities at local tech companies. I'm really excited about what ChickTech High School does because it works extremely well. So I want to talk about some of the results. I talked about how we try to capture girls that have never created technology before, and we've been pretty successful at doing that so far. If we look back at 2013, 2/3 of our participants had never created technology of any kind before, and our Portland program filled up in less than 2 weeks this year. So we're getting very popular, which I guess is a good problem to have. Within about a week and a half, we had 100 girls signed up for the program, plus 20 alternates, and an inbox full of emails from girls who didn't sign up quickly enough that we're going to try really hard to accommodate in our follow-up workshops throughout the year. The other point I wanted to make was that we try to capture more than just gender diversity. We try to get a really diverse group of girls from public and alternative schools around the Portland metro area. And we target schools that are in a wide range of socioeconomic areas. And we also try to reach out to schools that have more diversity in terms of culture and race. So now into the results that I'm really excited about. Last year, our girls reported a 21% increase in the feeling that they had a technical community for support. And the reason this is so important is because if you look back at the story that I just told, that first day on the job, I felt like I didn't have a community. I felt like I didn't belong, like I didn't have that support. And by creating this feeling that the girls have that tech community for support, what I'm hoping is that that will help them rise above the challenges that they may meet in the industry. The girls also reported almost a 15% increase in confidence after only 2 days, which is pretty incredible. That's just after the first workshop. And these are some of the different things that the girls said. And we've actually gotten more survey results since the point in time when we collected these quotes. And in fact, some of our girls from last year are applying to engineering school right now, which is really exciting. But the reason that this increased confidence is so important is because when you are a minority in an industry, even if you start to build up that support community, you really need to have a lot of confidence in your abilities to be able to persevere and press on. And like I said earlier, I'm lucky that I had that confidence, and I want to make sure that we continue to create that confidence in the girls that go through the ChickTech High School program. So what can you do? Please get in touch with us. You can join our mailing list at chicktech.org. You can email us directly at info@chicktech.org. And of course, you can follow us on Twitter or Facebook at ChickTech.org. We really need mentors, internships, volunteers, and sponsors for ChickTech High School. So please reach out if you're interested in helping with any of those things. And even if you don't do anything with ChickTech, I think my appeal to you would be to stand up for women in high tech. You know, when I was in that room on my first day and nobody stood up for me, that was a pretty horrible feeling. And I don't think that should ever have to happen to anyone. Even if you're not the one who's making the negative comment to shame someone and make them feel less than capable, if you don't stand up for that person, then you're just as bad as the person making the comment. So please, please stand up for the female engineers that you work with, and please get in touch with us and talk to us about what you can do to support ChickTech. Thank you.